You're listening to Novelbound, a podcast dedicated to making you laugh and keeping you company. Each week, we're sharing all of our favorite books and the embarrassing side of life.
Hi, you're listening to Novelbound. I'm Anna.
I'm Celine.
And in this podcast, we basically just talk about books and life, and it's great. So join us.
We're really fun. Listen to us, please.
Give us a chance.
Don't regret it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so today's episode, we wanted to do something kind of fun. So every episode, we usually open up with either tell me, we play Two Truths and a Lie. Mm-hmm. We go over embarrassing stories. We just try to start off with something that I don't know, we like to spill some tea, usually.
Yes.
It's good. But today I wanted to go on a little uplifting note because it's gonna be winter, or it is winter already, and it's we need some sunshine. So today I wanted to do the best advice. So I want to ask you, Anna, what's the best advice that you've ever heard? And you can go. Go deep.
Okay, so I don't know how deep this is, but I always like it. Something that I always think about, and the best advice that was once given to me, is that people don't think about you as much as you think they do.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Because I'm the person who's always everyone's judging me, and every time I go somewhere, they're looking at me, and when people laugh, I'm they're laughing at me. I think everyone's had those moments. And so I'm I just tell myself, nobody cares about you as much as, or strangers at least, don't really care about you as much as you think they do. So just don't take yourself too seriously. Try to have fun.
Oh, yeah. And I also feel if you're ever I love that too. I tell myself that all the time, where it's if I make a mistake in driving, or if I and
right.
Well, that literally is going to affect someone's life for 1 second. They're not going to think about you ever again. So don't take your don't worry about it, because who cares if your kid looks weird, no one's going to ever see you again. It's fine.
Yeah.
And if I always be why do you care? Why are you worried about it? Focus on your life.
Exactly. Yeah. I seriously try to use this all the time, because I even remember when I was younger, and it's just so dumb. I think I was in middle school. I had to be in 6th or 7th grade, and this guy was walking by me, and I was totally secretly in love with him. As always, 100%. Yes. I just wanted to be with him. Yes. And I remember he walked by, and I was oh, what did I say? He got a haircut, and I was oh, nice haircut. I like it like that. And for weeks, and I still remember to this day, because I tortured myself. I was why did I say it like that? Why do I sound so weird? And so I feel that. I'm sure that he doesn't even remember that. Why would he?
You know what?
So yes.
He's listening to this podcast right now, Anna, and he's just oh my gosh, I think about that moment too. And you're dude, I'm married with a kid. This is awkward.
Too late, dude. Sorry.
No, I literally think about that all the time. My biggest thing is that keeps me up at night is if I accidentally said something to someone that was offensive, or because that's my pet peeve. If I see someone be rude to someone else, it makes me so angry. I'm one of those people who'll be seriously give everyone grace, because I don't show up perfect, so no one else.
Yeah, exactly.
You should never hold anyone to a perfect standard ever. So when someone's well, she's blah blah blah, and I'm well, you know what? Maybe she was just really having a hard time, and maybe someday you'll want that exact same amount of grace shown.
Yes,
but no,
exactly.
I love that. I think it's true. In high school, that was someone said that to me, and I was oh my gosh, you mean people don't care if my hair is straight today or curly? You mean they don't care if I don't wear the right shirt? And it's applied so much into our life, is you know what, everyone is so focused on just surviving their own life. I can't imagine being a teenager right now, though, with Instagram and TikTok, because they literally have people commenting, oh well, blah, blah,
on
blah.
Everything. Well, have you watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
Well, I've watched part of it. I've listened to an interview by the creator. It was so good.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And I do think that it is flawed in some places.
Yeah.
But I thought it did a really good job showing just how controlled we are.
True.
By
and
it.
It's, even marketing this podcast, we literally, there are specific things that I've learned with all the marketing and stuff I've done with is how things need to look visually, how things need to be structured perfectly. So much thought goes into our captions, so much thought goes into everything, just so it can be perfect, But you know, if we had cared about what people thought, like, obviously, like, this podcast is, like, literally, like, the first 20 minutes is always just us being like, so let me tell you about this experience in my life.
I know.
So I feel like, you know, that's just, like, I love it. I always call it my, like, barrier to entry. I'm like, you have to, like, I'm always, like,
I love that.
I think with me, other people are, like, introverted until you meet them, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I'm actually really cool and super talkative and outgoing. For me, I'm, like, super talkative and outgoing, and then once you get to know me, I'm, like, a lot more chill and, like, deep. But, like, I use it as, like, people need to, like, be afraid of the intensity of which I am in order to, like, chill with me. Like, I'm like, be afraid of me. Be afraid of all of this. It's great. But, yeah. No, I think that's super good advice. So, yeah. So, no matter where you're at in your life, I feel like that's a really good product. Like, for me, like, Celine, literally no one's coming to your house. Why did you just buy all these Christmas decorations? It's for me. It's for me.
Right? No, but I totally support it. That I support 100%. I love decorating. It makes the house feel like a home.
It does. Honestly, it's been one of the only things this year that has, like, brought me joy is, like, getting to, like, I know I'm always like, am I a consumer? Am I feeding into, like whatever? But I'm like, honestly, like, right now, like, there's so much, like, I was talking to a friend the other day, and she's like, Celine, you're going through, like, the processes of grief, because I just moved across the country. And she's like, and, you know, that's, although you're not, you know, there's so many opportunities for you in Tennessee, and you're, like, loving your life, like, it's lonely, you lost your community,
you started over.
I'm like, I don't understand Walmart here yet, because it's, like, it has a different floor plan layout, and I can't find, like, very random things, and it's very frustrating, and, you know, it's just, like, I think, like, we just have to give ourselves grace in these times, especially, like, with 2020, the way it has been, is, like, I feel like, I just told myself, I was like, you can go get Christmas decorations early, because that's something that you can control in your life, and, like, it's about your enjoyment of it. That's why I put makeup on, even though half of my face will be covered. Yeah. Well, that's good.
It's nice. Still feel good.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, so my piece of advice that I've ever heard is don't be afraid to suck. And I know that sounds crazy, but people always ask me all the time, because I've been a wedding photographer for, like, 5.5 years now. And, like, that's my main career, and everyone's like, I'm getting started, like, how do I get to, like, whatever, and I'm like, it's a lot of work, but it's so worth it. That's another topic for another day. But, somebody told this to me, and I thought it was so powerful, and so if you're ever, like, starting a dream, that's why we're doing this podcast, is because we're gonna suck for a while, but then we're gonna figure out our niche, and we're gonna have fun, and so
we'll get the groove down.
This is my favorite quote. I always tell this whenever I do, like, retreats or anything. So it says, nobody tells us to be beginners. I wish someone told me. All of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But there is this gap. For the first couple years you make stuff, it's just not that good. It's trying to be good. It has potential, but it's not. But your taste, the thing that got you into the game, is still killer, and your taste is why your work disappoints you. A lot of people never get past this phase and they quit. Most people I know who do interesting creative work went through years of this. We know our work doesn't have this special thing we want it to have. We all go through this. So if you're just starting out or you're still in this phase, you gotta know it's normal, and the most important thing you can do is do a lot of work. Put yourself on a deadline so that every week you'll finish that one thing. It's only by going through a volume of work that you will close that gap, and your work will be as good as your ambitions. And I took longer to figure this out how to do this than anyone I've ever met. It's gonna take a while. It's normal to take a while. You just gotta fight your way through. And I don't know, that really always struck me as, like, and then when we did our podcast, we literally recorded an episode, and I was like, this is never going to see the light of day, but, like, we have to pretend like
our very first episode.
Oh, yeah, it was so bad. But it's like my hands were shaking, you know, and it's like, and
right, you're like nervous.
Yes, and I'm like, like my horrible fake laugh, like I kept saying like the same like thing, like oh totally, and I just feel like, you know, you have to, like, if I looked at the pictures when I first got started versus now, like, there's been so much journey. Like, I've not been an overnight success, you know, and I've had really good success, but, like, it is through labor and messing up and making mistakes. And so I think that, like, you have to not be afraid to, like, to suck. Like, don't be afraid to suck.
Yeah,
so, like,
you just, I love that so much. I totally agree.
And it's good.
Yeah.
It's okay to suck. And what's cool is, like, people will still cheer you on when you're in your sucking phase. Like, people still hired me when I sucked. And it's because they didn't think I sucked. I knew my potential. I knew what I wanted. But they're like, you know, you're, like, good work. Like, you know, and, like, now they're like, oh, girl, when we saw you back then, we were like, oh, but, like, we loved you anyways, you know, and it's fine. That's what people are doing with this podcast. They're like, Celine, we listen to you and Anna because we love you as human beings, you know.
Yep.
But don't worry, you're going to be
But
entertained by
eventually
us.
you'll listen to us because you're like, oh my gosh, you guys are so smart and funny, and you'll validate us for everything we need.
Please, we need so much validation. Even though we just gave you this great advice about not needing validation, give us every piece of validation.
Just give it to us anyway.
Please, please, please leave us a review. That's going to be a huge thing.
Yes.
When a podcast first launches and stuff like that, getting reviews, getting downloads and subscribers, like, that means so much to us. So, yeah.
Yes, make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram under the Novelbound podcast.
We've got a really big, like, we're building a really big community right now. I'm so excited. We're recording these before it's launching right now, but, like, we already have, like, a ton of people joining the group and on Instagram, and we're really active on there. You're going to see our life. You're going to see what books we're reading. Like, we just want you to be a part of it. So, yeah.
Yes.
I like your advice, Anna. Good work. This is why we're friends.
I like your advice too, Celine.
Oh my gosh. Great. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this week we're going to be talking about characters we love to hate. And we'll probably end up talking about some of the very, like, obvious ones, like Umbridge from Harry Potter. That's, like, a super obvious one. But there's, like, a couple that I think are still interesting and fun to talk about. So we're going to be talking about some characters from Pride and Prejudice, a character from Caraval, which is the series we're both very into right now, so that's why you're hearing about it.
Anna's very obsessed, and I'm obsessed with it too. But she's reading Illuminati Files this week, and guys, you should read it with us because straight up, like, next episode, she's gonna be like, and then just, like, go off, because that's what's happened with Caraval. Is she's literally just like, every episode she's been like, so I'm at this point in this series.
I know, and I'm like, and I don't understand. Yes, so I'm very excited to do that. And we're also going to be talking about Throne of Glass because I have issues with the main character, Selena. Deep issues. We'll get into it.
I'm glad it's not me. I'm glad my name is not Selena and only Celine.
I know.
That's Selena. What a jerk.
I know, right? And I think it's Selena. I think so. The name's spelled pretty weird. But then...
That's like how people spell my name at Starbucks. I'm not even kidding. Like,
really?
Yeah, so I'll go up to Starbucks and I'll be like, hi, my name's Celine. And they're like, Celine? Okay. And I'm like, yeah, like Celine Dion. And they're like, great. And I see like SELINCYZQP. And then they'll be like, here you go. And I'm like, thanks. No one ever spells my name correctly. It's fine.
Oh, I don't have that issue with Anna. In fact, when I was younger, I used to lie to people and be like, oh, Anna's short for Anastasia, because I wanted a more interesting name.
Anna, I love that so much. Oh my gosh. Maybe we'll change your name to Anastasia on you. Celine and Anastasia.
It just has a certain ring to it.
It is. Your name reminds me of autumn and fall and the sound of crisp leaves, so you're fine. Wow, that was very
beautiful.
Anne of Green Gables for me.
Yes, I love it.
Did you like that I compared you to, on Instagram, it was like the Diana to my Anne and the Anne to my Leslie? I was like trying to use the word Anne like Anna.
It was perfect.
I was like, I was proud of myself.
I'm clever. I've thought this out.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay.
So back
to characters we love to hate.
Yes. And so then we're also going to be talking about Daisy from The Great Gatsby, which I think Celine has a lot of thoughts about her. Oh, and we already talked about Pride and Prejudice. So we'll get into all of the characters from that.
Just grab a seat, get comfy.
Yes.
We're about to get really nerdy. And also, after this, like, well, we want to hear your kind of comments and stuff like that. And so, once this episode launches, we'll do a live, and we'll share what people said, and you can hop on there, too, and, like, talk about it. So, like, this is supposed to be a discussion. Podcast, like, we'll spill the tea, and then we want you to spill it right back. So
we want to hear from you, so.
Yes, this is supposed to be fun. Okay. Do you want to talk about Caraval? For those of you that haven't listened to it yet, go ahead and give a quick summary now that you know more of the story.
I know, now that I do know a lot. So basically, Caraval is about these two sisters who grew up kind of sheltered on this island with their father. And every year, this, I don't want to say magician, but kind of magician, his name is Legend, does a show called Caraval and invites people to go. And it's basically like a scavenger hunt type thing somewhat. We were looking for clues, and if you win, you get a gift from Legend. But it's very magical. Yes, it's very magical and whimsical, and where reality and illusion kind of like blend together a lot.
Wow, well said. Yes,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. So I love it so much. I'm sad that I'm like about to finish the third book, but it's okay.
I'm sad for you. I'm so jealous that you get to read the third book and for the first time. Like, I'm really jealous of that. I'm like, oh, I want that. I would give anything.
I wish I could do it again. Yeah. So, but the person I want to focus on is the dad of the two sisters. So it's Scarlett and Donatella, and it's their dad, and he is like this gross, abusive father. Which, I mean, the trope's been done before because I think some characters maybe need that to be able to grow into their strengths or hero or whatever. But basically, he would like, yeah, it wasn't just like he physically abused them. He would abuse the other sister when one sister did something wrong. Oh. So, like, an example is in the beginning of the books, Tella got caught, like, making out with this boy and was, like, blamed it on Scarlett, and her father believed him, but then he like, beat Tella up because of it. Mm-hmm. And it's just gross. And he's, like, he ends up being a murderer.
Yeah.
Just murdered people in cold blood. I think one time the girls tried to escape the island, and he, like, held the guy down in this, like, ocean and drowned him that was helping them escape. And he's just gross. And he's, like, selling his oldest daughter, Scarlett, off to be married to this count. Ugh, he's just gross. But I guess I just wanted to talk about kind of him especially, and then when tropes like that do happen. Mm-hmm. Like, and like the purpose that they bring to the characters, maybe, in the story that they do.
Yes, I have so many things to say about that.
Yes.
So, whenever, if you want to say it first, and then I can go.
No, let's hear it, girl.
Okay, so I love thinking, this is, like, one of my favorite reasons why we have this podcast is because I love, like, digging into, like, why authors, like, do things and what, like, motivates writers and stuff. And I feel like it's like a Disney technique as well, and that's why it's, like, X and X's parents died, right? So what happens is every character needs to have an external and an internal conflict. So externally, they are trying to get the sword. They're trying to get whatever. They're going on the quest. But internally, they also have a struggle that they have to overcome, you know? And so, like, Frodo, for example, has to learn how to rely on his friends, you know, things like that. That's why, like, Samwise, stuff like that. And he, like, obviously, like, he could never have gotten the ring to no. Oh my gosh. He can't take Mordor. He couldn't have gotten the ring there without the team and stuff like that. And so, like, there's an internal and an external struggle. And so, like, in order for there to be an internal struggle, the character can't be perfect, but the author needs us to want to stay with the main character. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so they have to have something redeemable or to explain why they have that character.
The flaws that they do.
Or it has to be a motivator to get them to get to the main story, the main plot. So it was an external journey to get away from their father, but also an internal journey because of it messed up their sisters. So I think, like, that's why I think authors write that, is, like, it is a trope, but it's also, like, it's a specific plot device where when it's done right, it's like, ooh, it's done right. And it makes it, because when I was writing a screenplay, like, I had, like, my, like, group that I was writing with in college, like, they're like, this is great, but, like, the main character is perfect. And I'm like, I know, right? And they're like, no, like, she doesn't grow. She doesn't grow at all. She's, like, super boring.
She needs to be,
Yeah, and I was like, oh, she can't be perfect? And they're like, no, because, like, there has to be an internal and an external struggle. Like, that's what keeps people going. That's why you and I love Shadow and Bones, because we love that she's, you know, by herself. And so that's why in Disney, like, Finding Nemo, it's like, you know, he loses his wife, and that's what makes him, the internal struggle is that he's like,
that's the drive.
Yeah, but, and then he wants to protect his son, which is then an external conflict. And so I think, like, that's why there has to be stupid, like, that trope is very overdone, but
yes, but sometimes it's done really well.
It is done,
and it makes the characters relatable.
Yes, and grow and stuff like that. But it also, I think, is good. I like that they address on it, because, like, people that have been in traumatic situations, they have, like, the ability.
They do have PTSD from it.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. No, I totally agree, because, like, him being the way he was the driving force for both sisters doing the things that they've done. Like, they kind of move away from it at some point, and you can see, like, especially the older sister Scarlett, like, she has a lot of PTSD might be a strong word for it, but she does kind of have a lot of PTSD, like, about future relationships and future, like, everything she does is because she just wants to be safe, and she wants to keep her and her sister safe away from their father.
Yes, 100%. And I feel like that is, and how empowering is it, like, when they overcome those things, and it's like, oh, they overcame it. And I think that's what makes it, if you want to know why we're describing these characters, is because each of these characters that we chose are, like, pivotal obstacles that the characters either have to get away from or push through or fight against in order, and by that villain they become stronger, like with Umbridge, like, like the fact without Umbridge, like would Dumbledore's army be in existence the way it was?
Like
no,
I think not, but yeah.
Would we have like the room of requirements, stuff like that, like, and I think that's something we can definitely talk about later on with different characters and stuff. Like if Lydia hadn't been a freaking, how do I put this nicely? Hoe? If she had not been a hoe, with Wickham, like, would Darcy
and she was so ignorant.
Oh, girl. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Lydia.
That's our next talking point.
Let's break into Pride and Prejudice. Okay.
Literally, Lydia, she bothers me so much, and I know she was written for this exact purpose, to like be bothered, because she's so young and ignorant, and she's like the mom's favorite, so she gets away with everything and anything, and she just spends all her money. But the reason she bothers me so much is because she basically stole Wickham like away from Elizabeth, which it ended up working out in the end because he's a terrible person, so sucks for you, Lydia, that now you're married to him. But yeah, but I just think that she's so selfish. And although I will say them doing that led Darcy to kind of come to light, because he ended up like saving their reputation by paying for their wedding and whatever else he needed to do. So like I guess it was good character development for Darcy that he did that for them, but
that's true. No, but Lydia's trash.
Yeah.
Like, Lydia's straight up trash. And Kitty
and
is... Like, Lydia's very, like, what do you... World, you owe me something for existing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's, like, so, like, excuse me, like, why can't I have all the things?
I know. Because she's like almost...
Thing? I'm totally giving you crap. I'm just kidding.
Oh, You say that to the only one, or not the only one, the first of the siblings to be married and with a child. So let's just talk about maturity right now.
Oh my god.
Just kidding. I love my family. You guys don't hate me.
But like, excuse me, like, shut the phone off, throw it against the room. Like, what have you done? Why would you ever bring that up?
They'll start a campaign against me.
Also, they're all super hot. Like, everyone marry Anna's siblings. Go.
Yes. Except for I only have 2 siblings available now. Anyways, you should still marry them. They're awesome. But basically, I was just gonna say that, like, Kitty has like no backbone.
Full cringe.
Ever.
Office.
Like, Lydia just uses her. Oh, I also was gonna say that Lydia is like almost funny, and she's like almost witty.
Yeah.
Like, she's almost clever, and she's almost all of these like things that are like foils? Redeeming.
Are they foils for? No. Is Caroline Bingley a foil for? One of them is foil. Like, all, like, that's why characters, they're either villains or foils.
Yeah. I don't know. That's interesting that you said that about Caroline, because we're also talking about Caroline.
Oh yeah, I have so much. I have like a section paved out, just like ready to go.
Let's hear it.
Okay, are you sitting down? Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay, readers, listeners, friends, stop mopping. Sit down. Okay. So this is like my opinion of this, is that Caroline is straight up. I like love her. I love her so much because I feel like every author that has written like a good female, like this, people have recreated Caroline in so many other ways, but like Caroline's the OG Regina George. The like nice to your face, like turn around. And I think that's why like people like identify with Elizabeth so much, just because like, ooh girl, I know her. I know that
They're
girl.
just like me.
I know a Caroline, but like straight up, she like openly shows it in like a way that only women back then could show it. Be like, let us take a turn about the room, and she just is like, the way she like shows ownership. I'm sitting there like, ooh, Caroline, you're spicy. But I just like, I read this thing. I'm gonna like give them full credit, but this is like this amazing thing I read. So it's from MaryReza.com, and I think it's just a blog, but I thought it was absolutely beautiful to describe like the perspective of things from Caroline, and like with her as like the villain, and I love it. So I'm paraphrasing, but it's like, put it to you this way. You're Caroline Bingley. You've been privately educated, trained for like life to be like the wife. You've been told every day that you're like beautiful and ready to go, and you're like, cool, I've got the dowry, I've got the power, like she set her sights. And but it's like not enough that like you value yourself enough that you're like can almost grasp the like thing. And so, anyways, long story short, you're like, cool, Darcy's convenient. He's cute. He's my brother's best friend. Like, we can all just hang. Like, why not? Anyways, this is where, like, I just love this. It goes, when you come to London from Netherfield with Charles and the entourage, you don't realize you're entering the fiercest of marriage market arenas. You think the Bennets and their crowd are a bunch of bumpkins. Jane Bennett's all right. Sweet girl, really. Considering, but what a family. The common as muck mother and the trollopy younger sister are bad enough, but then there's that Elizabeth, absolutely full of herself with an answer for everything. And suddenly, Charles is making eyes at Jane. Darcy's paying way too much attention to Elizabeth, and she's like, oh, shiz. Okay. Like, cracks her fingers, is like, okay. And then she's like, I'll start subtly. I'll just use a little sarcasm, be like, oh, Miss Bennet as your daughter-in-law? And then, like, literally, when Elizabeth, like, does that epic scene where she's, like, drenched in water and has just gone on a walk, she's like, wow, you're so dirty. Oh, my gosh. Like, but meanwhile, you're looking at Darcy and being like, Darcy, stop checking her out. Like, I know that dress is tight on her. Like, literally, chill. Put it away. Like, stop. Anyways, and then what I love about it is she's like, well, then I will make Elizabeth my friend. Like, that's fine. I can make this happen.
Friend,
yes. And so then literally you're like, oh, Darcy, are you writing a letter? Are you writing to your sister? Because I know everything about you. And like, Elizabeth, I know everything about Darcy. And like, oh my gosh, like, I'm gonna openly flirt. Like, I appreciate her confidence in here because she knows that Darcy's into
She
her.
is confident.
And she's like, no, I'm still trying. Like, she put her hat in the ring. And then
she did.
Then when she realizes that it's like not happening, she's like, okay, I'll write a letter to Jane, get Charles out of there, because honestly, let's be real. And then in the letter to Jane, she's like, by the way, Darcy's like basically in like just like Darcy's sister and Charles are gonna marry, blah blah blah. And you're just like, And then she freezes Jane out because she's like, you're of no use to me, back up. And then Elizabeth shows up at Pemberley and she's like, Darcy, remember that you like thought that she was ugly at the dance? Like, don't you remember that I am the most beautiful person? Anyways, long story short, now she's the aunt to all of their children.
Love it. In your face.
But girl,
Caroline.
I have to give her her tease that she did her best to get.
She did her best.
She did her best.
Tried.
I give her credit. I'm like, ooh, beautiful. Beautifully
she
done.
was the perfect mean girl.
What an attempt. Like, well done. Can we do that in high school? Be like, wow, I really appreciate, like, the way you said that
to me.
What
a good attempt.
Like, good job. I could tell there was some thought into, like, the insult you threw at me and made me insecure for, like, a solid 3 years. But, like, you know what? Like, well done. Way to squeeze that confidence out.
Good job.
Work.
You, like, dedicated yourself to that.
Wow. Well done. Okay, moving on. Your turn.
I loved everything about that. That literally was perfect. Well, I was kind of going to, like, for a second talk about Harry Potter, but it might kind of be, like, an overdone thing.
I think we should save it for, like, a full-on Harry Potter episode.
Yeah.
Multiple episodes where we just, like, allow ourselves, like, the room to be like, okay, let's talk about each of the characters.
If you're done with Harry Potter, you don't have to listen to this, but...
Yeah.
Here we go. Perfect.
Yes.
Okay. So, I want to talk about Throne of Glass because I have a problem with Selena. A big problem with her. Okay. I'll, like, give you the premise of the book a little bit in case you've never... It's very popular. Like, I know a lot of people like it and read it. And if you like the book, you should write on our page, message us, and, like, help me understand why it's so good, because I could not get past the first one.
You can literally send us an audio file at this point. Like, you just DM us when this episode comes out.
Yeah.
And, like, send us an audio thing, and we will play it at, like, a follow-up episode.
Yes. So, basically, here's the premise of Throne of Glass. So, after serving out a year of hard labor in the salt mines of Endovir, for her crimes, 18-year-old assassin Selena Sardothian, which the names are crazy in this whole book, is dragged before the crown prince, Prince Dorian, offers her freedom on one condition. She must act as his champion in a competition to find a new royal assassin. Her opponents are men, thieves, and assassins and warriors from across the empire, each sponsored by a member of the King's Council. If she beats her opponents in a series of eliminations, she'll serve the kingdom for 4 years and then be granted her freedom. She finds her training sessions with the captain of the guard, Westfall, challenging and exhilarating, but she's bored stiff by court life. blah blah blah. I like don't even have the patience to like read all of this.
Can we pause for 5 seconds? I get so
Yes.
angry when they're like, ugh, court life is so boring. I hate
So
all these
boring.
like balls and I have to like wear a dress and there's like drama and intrigue. Ugh. And I'm just
like
I
that's
wish
not
I
the
was,
dream
like,
of everyone.
I wish I was like shooting an arrow into a tree and like talking to my friend about bread. Like this is so
and letting
boring.
my hair blow in the wind. Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like, just let us enjoy it. Goodness gracious, could you give us like a chapter where you're like, you know, this food is actually really good, and I was starving, like literally starving, like 2 years ago, and like this food, like like in the Hunger Games, I feel
this
like
food's okay.
Like
yeah.
I feel like I would have spent so much time describing the food because she's like, look, like food.
Look at all this amazing food I get to eat. Yeah. So basically, Selena is made out to be this like the world's most notorious assassin, and she got caught and she worked in these salt mines for like a hard year of labor, like, and it was so bad she tried to like do this suicidal escape, and like she is supposed to be tough as nails. Like I thought the premise of this book sounded so interesting, and I was excited to read her journey from like becoming just like the person whoever the author needed her to be. But like, guys, I need to read you this review from Goodreads on this book, and it perfectly sums up how I feel about it. It's by this person called Kitten Blue. And she starts off and she says, I know. She says, "Are you kidding me? What the heck is this crap? How do you screw up your story quite so badly after starting from an incredible premise involving the most notorious assassin in the land, now a slave, being offered the chance to win back her freedom, sort of in a to the death tournament, fighting the most gifted thieves and assassins in the land?" Says the back of the book, conveniently forgetting that A, right before the final duels, the king specifically states that the competitors can only win by trapping their opponents in a position of sure death, and no further so to the death my foot, and B, apart from thieves and assassins, a number of the competitors are actually ex-guards and random other criminals, for the most part disposable enough to not warrant names. Basically, and so she says, "I'm happy to spend the next few moments of my life quoting this book, this horrible book, if it means at least one person might decide not to waste their money on it. No need to thank me." All right, that's like a little quippy, and I guess I don't hate the book that much, but here we go. I'm just going to read you a little excerpt from the book that she wrote. So it says, "Wake up." Not surprisingly, it was some character from the book. "She shimmered beneath the blankets, pulling them over her head, but he grabbed the covers and threw them to the floor. Her nightgown was wrapped around her thighs." Selena shivered. Which also, pause, this book is also weirdly sexual in places. And it's not like, I can appreciate it if it's for good purpose, but it just like throws weird things like that in and then like never goes further. Like the nightgown clung to her body, showed every inch of her curves, and then they move on. So it's not like even for plot purposes. It's just like a weirdly sexual explanation. There's a lot of that in this book.
Oh my gosh.
So anyways, "It's cold," she moaned, holding her knees to her body. She didn't care that she only had a few months to beat the other champions. She needed sleep. And it's like, nope, this isn't your bratty kid sister, but the most notorious assassin ever. You know, the one who, after slaving away in the salt mines for 4 months, was so desperate to escape that she even tried to make a suicide dash. What the heck, though? They're only offering her freedom. And then it goes back to the quote, "It would have been nice if the crown prince had considered springing her from Endovier earlier so she could have some time to regain her strength. How long had he known about this competition anyway?" Sheesh, I know, right? Silly crown prince not considering the feelings of, like, one of the most terrible criminals his men has ever captured. I mean, he gives you a large, comfortable living quarters in his castle, a billiards table, a chance to change your life, even a puppy, and what? He thinks this is enough?
Rude.
Basically, it's just so sarcastic, and I live for it. Because, I'll explain to you, the reason I have such a problem with Selena is because she's made out to be this criminal, this assassin, this, like, bad to the bones girl who, like, you don't want to cross, but literally she gives no example of that in the book. She doesn't do one thing that makes her seem tough. All she does is complain. And I even think on, like,
complaining characters.
Yes, all she does is complain. And even, like, the night before the first trial or something like that, she, like, stayed up all night reading a book. And, like, that's all that she talks about is this book she read. Not even, like, the trial. So you don't even get as much of the trials as you, like, thought you would get. Anyways, this girl, It's crazy. And I don't ever do this, but I kind of like read the synopsis for all the other books, and these books turn wild. So.
What?
Yeah.
You can't just drop that and be like, they turn wild, and then just be like, yeah, anyways, so moving on. I'm like, what is wild?
They do it. They become wild. I like hope I can remember this right. But I remember that like there's obviously this love triangle, and it like wasn't done very well. But then it ends up coming out. Sorry, this is spoilers ahead, guys. So if you don't want spoilers, skip ahead to like 30 seconds in the future. Okay, so it ends up turning out that she's like some fairy princess that was like lost at like some point in time, and then was like refound, and then she ended up like falling in love with this fairy prince. And, like, their relationship, they have sex all the time. That's all they do together, is just have sex. So they don't even do anything important, and it just turns crazy. And I do remember reading reviews where, like, a lot of people were mad because she was falling in love with the prince, and then she just, like, left him behind, and everyone was like, you did him so dirty. He did not deserve that. So, anyways, I have problems with Selena. Personal, deep problems.
Series.
We should.
We should hate read it.
Let's do it. Let's hate read the series.
Let's hate read it. Everyone would be like, we hate you. Like, we're immediately stopping listening to this podcast. Like, how dare you? Excuse me, I have 6 of one book because it's so beloved in my library.
I know. Sorry, guys, if you're like that.
Yeah, my apologies.
I mean, it's some people's cup of tea, and I'm not going to, like, hate them for that or put them down. But I think that we could have had more from Selena. She could have been better. Yep.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my feelings about Bird of Glass. Yeah.
I love the next girl I've got is why are we doing girls? Man, we are hating.
I know, we do have a lot of girls that we hate. We talked about the father from Carvel, to be fair.
This is true. I think it's because I'm more offended when a girl is, again, because we read primarily girl books, and when a guy is like a total tool, we're like, yeah, that's men.
Whatever. Mm-hmm.
Whatever, you just start thinking about yourself. When a girl does it, I'm like, that's effing intentional. Like, excuse me, you know how hard we all have it. Could you just like, be a little bit more better? Like, more better. Could you be a little more better? Could you just pull it together? But this one is, I love to hate her because I feel like she is just, okay, so my girls, and I think like all of us, like all the people I've recommended, I just, like, I have a thing for the end about, like, what I feel about all of these villains that are females. But we'll share that later. But let me talk about why I'm like, oh, Daisy, girl. She's flaky. Like, Gatsby would have done anything for her, and, like, he worked so hard to get to, like, the point where she was, like, there. I mean, granted, he was, like, kind of nuts and was like, leave everything and come with me. I have a giant mansion. And, like, we don't have to tell anyone. And also, like, I mean, he was very confusing. Honestly, I would have been like, I love you, but you're a little intense. Like, even when Tanner's like, babe, kiss me, and I'm like, okay, I'll kiss you, but, like, don't be too intense about it. Like, I'm trying to do the book right now. Anyways, but she, I feel, was the original Manic Pixie Dream Girl, where, like, she was alluring and mysterious and would say things like, a little fool, and, like, all of these, like, very, like, I bet she talked with, like, that exact voice of, like, da-da-da-da-da-da.
The, like, light, lithy voice.
She was the girl I hated in high school because she would be like, oh, you want to give me a full house with, like, horses and this and that? Oh, but this boy, da-da-da-da-da. Oh, no, who do I choose? Oh, I'll just, like, run over some lady and kill her and then be quiet about it. And then I'll leave the guy that was covering it and then just go, like, be with my husband who's been abusing me probably. But, you know, tea. And then maybe that other guy will, like, kill himself because, you know, he just can't stand to be without me. Oh. And then she, like, never talks about Gatsby again. Doesn't even effing go to his freaking funeral.
Horrible. Disgrace. But I guess when you have it all, you can have whatever you want. You know, why care?
I aspire to be Daisy Beach. Okay, your turn.
You just have everything.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is so hard. I'm like, what are you? So hard. Are you Kim Kardashian? Calm down.
This perfect life over that perfect life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I told Jalen, I was like, I'll know I've made it when I can go to the store and just, like, swipe my card without even looking at the price.
Oh, the dream. Mm-hmm. The dream. The dream.
Who knows, though? Maybe I'll never be like that because I'm just always too conscious. One day.
Ugh, consciences. Okay.
Yep. So that was kind of mostly all what I had. I wanted to, like, touch a little bit because I guess we were mainly talking about women, and so I was going to talk about Holden from Catcher in the Rye. Did
Go
you read
for
that
it.
book?
Yeah,
What
he
a
annoys
downer.
me.
Yeah, what a downer,
I can't
right?
believe they made us read that in AP English because I
I
literally
know.
was like, what is the purpose? Okay, get
All
on
he
the
did was
tea.
complain. I mean, like, I'll give you this. His brother did die, and so, like, he had reasons to be upset, but, like, I read something. Oh, I know. I wish I had it in front of me. I read something a while ago that was like perfectly summed up him, and it was like he's like the angsty when you were like 17 years old, and like you were trying to prove to the world that like
He is
you.
my ex-boyfriend, like to a T. I literally am like I would be like, hey, how's your day going? He's like, we're just dust in this, and we're just like,
We're
everything's
just riding
so
along on this
dark.
planet in this universe, and there's nothing there to
Yes.
stop us.
It's
Yeah,
just like, I just, make me feel better. Hard.
literally, that's Holden. Yeah. Try to get like the smoky voice or scratchy voice from smoking because he thought it was so cool. And all I did was seriously, I remember reading that book being like, "Why? Your life like why are you complaining? You're rich. You have all the money in the world. You can go anywhere you want." I was like, "Nobody wants to hear this."
Like, shut up.
Mhm.
Shut up. Okay.
Yeah.
I have
But
like
that's my
funny.
thoughts on Holden.
No, it's beautiful. I love it. I like literally sell this. It's like we're all just specks of dust floating in the expanse of an unfeeling universe. One day our life will cease to exist and nothing will ever have mattered. Wait, what were we talking about? Oh, that's another thing. He would just like go off on these like really random tangents and we'd be like, oh,
And you
wait.
just sit there like, "Wait, what?"
I saw this. This is like Spark Notes lit. It was like a text. It was like, "Hey Sally, do you want to go on a date?" And the girl's like, "Okay." And he goes, "Change of plans. Let's cast off our societal shackles, take to the woods, and leave civilization behind behind us." And it's like, "Yep, that's Holden. That's Holden for you, through and through." Okay, so basically, I just want to end by saying that the real villain is society and men in the freaking 1800s. Like, are you kidding me? Like, the reason why all these women had to be, like, so psychotic was because they were just trying to live. And if you, like, read
Right?
every book that we've read, it's like, society won't let women do this, or the poor do this. And I'm like, it's really them. They're freaking the villains. But I'm just
Right?
grateful for the fact that we are where we are now, where we can, like, vote and, like, own a house. Did you know that in, like,
Yes.
the 70s, we couldn't own property or, like, get a bank account without a man's signature?
What?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's like too soon.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's all right. We're progressing. The world's getting better.
It's fine. It's fine. But anyways, Caroline Bingley was just trying to do what she could with the things that she was limited.
She just wanted to secure a good future for herself.
Daisy Buchanan honestly was just trying to save her own little butt. She was like, Tom can just like kind of make everything go away. And Gatsby, you cute, you hot, but like I don't want to be scorned in my society.
Yeah.
And it's just because like, anyways, long story short, it's really like 18th century, 17th, 19th century, 20th century.
Right? Who knows? Just men. Why are you holding us back, dudes?
Yeah. And now we read books about those time periods so we can remember how good we got it.
The struggles. That's
It's
hilarious.
fine. Any final thoughts?
No, I think that's perfect.
Perfect.
Summed it up great.
Okay.
Although
so
we
if you guys
do hate these
go.
characters. Sorry, I will add one
Go.
final thought is we do like these are characters we truly do love to hate because we do truly do love these characters. Like
We
I love reading about them. Except for
And if
the
we
father
don't-
in Carval, he could die, and I would totally be okay with it.
Or maybe he will. Ooh, you haven't read the third book yet.
I haven't read the third
You don't
book yet.
know.
I hope he does, and I hope it's horrific.
I hope he dies horribly. I hope he falls down a well and breaks his freaking neck. Yes. Anyways, so moving on. But no, if you also like all these villains were necessary to the character being good, except for freaking Selena.
Yeah, except for she's just a useless character who has no purpose.
In a beautiful world with so much opportunity and potential.
And it's seriously a world with so much potential. Like I would have
Yeah.
loved seeing her like journey fighting in this tournament and coming to terms with like how she was made to be an assassin and I don't know, just Okay, but did you know I read the questionnaire?
Wait, to be fair, Anna, you've only read the first book.
I know. To be
You hate
fair,
on
I
things,
haven't
and
given
then
it
you
a
literally.
thought.
Okay, wait a second.
I'm
I
quick to
forget that
judge.
you
I'm quick
do
to
this.
judge.
I forget that you read one book in the whole series, and you don't even give any. What if she was spreading out the growth, friend? She had like
Maybe
what,
she
5 books?
was. Maybe she
Anna, you
was.
just like wrote her off. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's hard, but I'm just like maybe you have to like
That's why
read
I
more.
need listeners. I need your help. Convince me that I should
Okay,
keep reading
tell
these.
us, does she get better later? One other
Yes.
thing too is like we honestly would love to do. We're doing a giveaway. So whoever this next week, so like in this week time period that this is released, whoever like gives us a review or 5 stars, we're sending you guys like one of our favorite books and like a
Yes.
super cute cozy blanket and like a bunch of little
It's gonna be
decorations. Like
adorable.
it's gonna be cute. And so we're gonna give a little basket away. We're gonna do like a random drawing and we'll do it on our Instagram live. But really, like leaving us those 5 star reviews. We just want to get to 100 5 star reviews. That's gonna like help us so much, and we would just really appreciate it.
Yeah,
So.
help us to make more of this. Which hopefully you guys like.
Novelbound. Woohoo! Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week.